All right, so you ready, Miles?
I am indeed.
What town are we starting in? Where will we be starting?
Somewhere in Barovia. I actually have not read the Kingmaker manual yet. Not Barovia. Fuck. Sorry.
It's all connected, dude.
I forget the name of the kingdom, but you'll be starting in a major capital of one of the kingdoms.
Gotcha. Will we get EXP or boons like inspiration for good RP?
So Pathfinder does. Actually, here. While we're at this, I posted in the Pathfinder 2e chat. One of my character sheets for my character. It's called Crane.
Yeah.
Everyone see that?
Cat folk.
Okay, so if we look at the top right, there are hero points. Hero points allow you to reroll any dice. Sorry, my dog's acting weird. Hero points allow you to roll any dice. We can decide now as a group, do you want to get one per hour? And just have it for use at your leisure? Or would you... I can also do, in addition to, or in place of, a hero point for really good RP.
I like that. Really
I
good
would,
RP.
make it more of a scarcity. Otherwise, people are just gonna be constantly re-rolling everything.
Right, and there's a incentive for good RP too, versus I'm just gonna get a hero die by wait an hour, kind of thinking.
I agree.
Okay. Any dissenting voices?
Nope.
All right, then we'll go with that. Great RP gets a hero point, and we'll actually say so. I believe on the sheet it says they're lost between each session. They're not. We'll carry those between sessions, so I'm not going to penalize you for not using it if you're doing great on rolls and RP that night.
Okay. Do we
Gotcha.
Can we acquire hero points in other ways, or is it just RP?
What do you have in mind?
I mean, I don't know. If we like solve a really hard puzzle, or one of us does something that's pretty extraordinary, will we get hero points like that, or is it just like
you get favored by your god for doing a good deed or something along
that
those
would
lines?
be RP, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that is literally the definition of RP.
Okay.
Do cool shit.
Will we miss out on experience or levels if we RP around a situation instead of if we talk our way out of a fight, will we still get experience for that fight?
Absolutely not, but let me provide some clarity on this. So if you run away from a fight, you will not get anything, right? However, if you are clever and find a different solution and thus avoid a fight, you will still get the same amount of experience as if you had fought. That being said, there's a distinct line between situations that could potentially become violent if you do some absolutely crazy shit versus situations that are teetering on a knife edge that you can, go either way. If it's something where you're a diplomat negotiating something and you cause an all-out war, you're not going to get experience points for that, right? Because you're failing in your task.
Makes sense. How strict are you going to be for RP? Will you be penalized for metaing or breaking character?
Yes, you will be heavily penalized for metaing. I absolutely abhor metagaming. So Zach, you back me up on this? I think you were the one talking about healing with me last time. So to give everyone a heads up on this, those who didn't play with us for the trainer sessions, I roll a lot of rolls that y'all don't see. So your perception rolls, I roll them, and my philosophy on it is it helps you get into your character's mindset more, right? So let's say you're rolling to an example from the session we did to find out where an amulet's from, right? What god that amulet represents. If you get a crit fail, you're going to be 100% certain that this is the right answer, even though it's the wrong answer. If you get a crit success, you'll be 100% certain this is the right answer, even though it's the correct answer. So you'll be in the right way. This will lead you down a lot of incorrect paths. This will cause some complications, but I think it helps you play your character a lot more and really kind of get into the mindset. On that subject, though, so with healing, I assume if y'all are in a giant melee combat, you're not exactly paying attention to everything around you because you are literally fighting for your life. So I prefer that you don't keep track of health of your party. Like, you can maybe know that, oh, he got hit at some point, but like, try not to absolutely memorize the exact values and stat numbers. I'll, roll a perception roll behind the screen and tell you how they look. I'll, try and drop hints, but I won't explicitly tell you, oh yeah, he's, got a massive gash going through his femoral artery and bleeding out on the ground, something like that,
That being said, are we
Very
allowed to
fair.
be like, if we get hit really hard, to play it out?
Yeah, absolutely. But remember, so I will stick to this rule too. With combat, each session or each round is 5 to 6 seconds, right? You're not sitting there talking paragraphs. You are quick, concise communication.
Is like yelling to another character, "Hey, I need help," is that considered a free action?
Yes, any talking is free action. And actually, while we're there too, I, for the most part, I'll allow switching weapons as a free action. The rules generally say it takes an action. If you're like putting away or drawing a really big weapon, or if you're getting rid of two, like a sword and a shield to draw a two-handed weapon, then yeah, that'll be an action. But for the most part, like swapping a sword to a bow, you're sheathing and drawing a bow is not that hard.
Anything else on that subject? Oh yeah, will you get penalized for breaking character? Do you want us to try to stay in character as much as possible?
Absolutely.
I'm assuming.
This is a role-playing game, so I would prefer that we play it as a role-playing game. That being said, the penalty is not going to be huge. It'll be just 1d4 psychic damage for the first violation. Second will be 2d4, third will be 3d4, and so on and so forth. Yeah, so not a huge amount of damage.
I can't imagine it would go past the first level.
Yeah, I can't either. But
Is it per session? Like, does that timer restart?
yeah, it'll restart per session.
No, it's cumulative. Will you give us pre-battle meta time, or just like a minute or two pre-battle to discuss a plan, or is it just fucking go in balls to the wall?
If it fits the narrative, yes. So, like, if y'all are maybe setting up an ambush or, like, planning what to do before you enter a building, sure. But if you're, like, in a bar and a fight starts, no, you're not going to have time to sit there once the fight starts and start planning.
Okay. I know the penalty's probably more... Oh, go ahead, Blake.
Well, I was going to say, yeah, as long as we can do, like, some planning, it's kind of nice to kind of know what we're doing for bigger stuff.
Yeah, I mean, there will be a ton of situations where you're doing, like, large actions and stuff that requires coordination beforehand. But like I said, if it's like a bar brawl or like, fighting breaks out in the street in front of you, like, if they're directly targeting you and the enemy is actively engaging you, you're not going to have time to plan.
Gotcha. I know this will probably be more severe for me than any of the other classes, possibly. But what happens if you act out of your alignment?
Well, I'm going to actually put that one on y'all. Do we want to be really strict with alignments in this campaign, or do we want to kind of be alignments are a moral guide more than an actual...
Well, what does the campaign rely heavily on the morality of our characters? Does that skew it? Like,
I'd say yes in the broad sense, right? Like, good and evil, yeah, obviously those are two big distinctions.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, it will actually. There's gonna be some legalistic questions that come up that will require you to fall back on morality for it.
And yeah, and I mean, we can, in those cases, I guess, fall back to them. I just don't want to muddy the water. I say we either do it or we leave it like as ambiguous, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I'll leave that on y'all to decide.
I think it's a good thing to kind of guide your character and know what decision your character would make. Like, oh, I'm a lawful good person. I'm clearly not gonna tolerate somebody just kicking a kid in the dirt, or whatever the situation may be. Like, I know specifically for cleric, if I act out, I have the potential to lose my powers.
Yes. Yeah. So for people who actually get direct benefits from gods, it'll be much more important regardless of what y'all choose, right? Because you're not going to be a cleric of good and then start doing evil shit everywhere. That's just not going to work. That being said, too, Oh, I had a point. I forgot it. Oh, so with paladins, Blake, you said you're playing one?
Yeah.
Okay, this doesn't go... I'm not calling you out on this. I'm just heads up for any RPG we play. There's a difference between lawful good and lawful stupid.
Okay.
Okay? You are going to do more than likely the most good by surviving and continuing to do good works, not charging into a group of 30 guys armed with pitchforks while you're armed with nothing.
Okay.
There is a very distinct difference between the two.
Got it.
That being
That's a great
said,
way to
there
put
are
it.
also great moments for heroic sacrifice that can play very well into your character if that is the case.
Okay, so as long as that, as my mission is to, do right by a paladin, not just Leroy
Bad
Jenkins.
guys.
You're not
Bad
going to
guys.
suicide to take out evil
Or
necessarily.
if the ends justify the means,
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
You might have note for Ben. You might have to bleep the word I just said. I don't know.
I don't think so. I haven't really bleeped anything.
So what are you saying? If I rush into a battle, and it's not warranted, it penalizes.
Well, no,
No,
so
you're
like-
not going to be penalized, but you were kind of playing lawful stupid last time, to where you were
Oh,
like,
was I?
no matter what needs to be done, we have to vanquish the evil. That's not always your
Okay.
best fucking play.
Right.
Like,
Yeah, I was
actually,
just playing dumb. I'm not going to actually play that stupid. I'm turning the stupid knob way down for the actual.
like I'll actually take the hit on this one because that's the way I'm playing my character in Curse of Strahd, right? My kill vampires at all costs ranger dude who's
Right.
doing a lot of very dumb shit because he hates vampires so much. That can be an actual trait of your character, but it has to be a persistent trait of your character.
Got it.
That being said, if you do make it a trait, I will not pull punches if that is the case.
Okay.
All right,
Yeah.
next question.
That seems pretty aligned. So we're
Um,
all like, be generally good. If you're good, stuff like that, like as a guideline.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, like,
can.
sorry. Go ahead, Zach.
No, if we're still on this, go ahead.
I mean, just a little more maybe nebulous clarification is probably a good way to describe it. Like, you're a paladin. You're lawful good. Don't steal from shopkeepers. Don't murder kids in an orphanage. Right? Like,
Right.
even little acts too. Like, if you have a chance to lie, don't lie. Maybe you're determining the morality based on the actions.
Theron was a pretty good example of that before he died. He did butt heads with the rest of the group because of his moral compass in that case.
Yes,
so,
he did.
So, you got to remember, even because if you are going to play that, I'm going to play probably a more, I wouldn't say morally ambiguous character, but he's going to have his own, agenda in that case. So, yeah.
Maybe I'll be an evil paladin.
That's
I haven't
absolutely
decided
fine too.
just yet.
That'd actually be
But
interesting.
that being said, you have to be evil if you're an evil paladin.
Right. There's also like a version, like I was reading through all the different ones, and there's like a version where it's not full on evil, it's just like vindictive. It's just like if anyone offends or attacks you morally or anything, you just go out like the vengeance kind of vibe.
I dig it. All right.
You're a spiteful bitch. Got it.
Yeah. I don't think I want to be full evil because that could be bad, but
It can be very bad. Or it can be very good. This can go either way. All right.
it's true.
Zach, what you got?
Can you confirm whether encumbrance will be a thing and how strict you're going to be on it?
Absolutely. Encumbrance will be a thing because you'll be doing a lot of traveling. That being said, there are also a lot of opportunities to get horses and carts and stuff to, ease your burden in a lot of ways.
Is encumbrance as easily as broken in Pathfinder as it is in D&D?
In what way?
Asking about Talo's character?
Yeah, exactly. Well, when you're a halfling and you can carry 500 pounds, is that something that you can do?
Don't hit the player, hit the
No.
game.
So if we scroll down on that character sheet I gave you to the second page, there is a bulk calculator.
Got it. So it's more in depth. Okay, cool.
So they actually thought about shit like this.
I think in
that's funny.
general it's supposed to be aimed at being a little more realistic.
It is. They tried a lot. Oh, so that being said, for just a PSA for the entire group, there is no passive healing in Pathfinder naturally. Right? So like D&D, you take a long rest, take a short rest, you get your hit dice back. That doesn't happen in Pathfinder. You either have to take a feat or a trait for it, or you have to have a healer, or you have to have potions, or you have to have some other ways of healing. You will not recover health points on a long or short rest.
Not on a long rest either. Wow.
But there are a lot of ways to heal. You just don't get the healing on rests.
I'm gonna have a fuck ton of ways to heal.
Yeah, you'll like if you're like in town resting for 3 or 4 days, yeah, you're gonna naturally heal over time, but there's no like mechanic built in for recovering hit points like that. What long rests are instead more important for is exhaustion. Exhaustion will absolutely kill you if you let it.
And regaining spell slots, right?
Yes, yes.
Which segues me into my second question. What exactly is a short rest in Pathfinder?
Let me actually look it up.
Is there a
I don't want
short
to use the
rest,
wrong
or is
number.
there sit around and I can cast spells for 10 minutes and regain focus? Is there like a short rest that's actually a thing?
If not to regain hit points, then what for?
I don't think it's called
I
short
know
rest. I think it's just called like, or it says on your sheet like if you rest or like after 10 minutes of recovery or something like that.
So for like focus spells, for example, I can sit for 10 minutes and regain a focus spell. I can cast like mending or something of that nature. But I don't know that there's actually sitting down for a short rest. That's kind of my question.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so you're asking like what the parameters are and what's considered a rest or what it requires for you to recover that.
Well, is there a short rest?
There is not.
Period. Okay, so there's not a short rest. So we can take
Yeah.
a period to take a rest and do shit, but a short rest is not an actual thing.
Yes, it's not an actual thing.
So there's no limit to how many you can do in a day, which was the question I initially had based for D&D.
There may be limits on your class, like where it says like you can do this X times per day, or you can, you can recover X amount of stuff this way. I, off the top of my head, cannot think of a limits outside of the one specific to classes.
Gotcha. Will you let us know or give us hints when a long rest is appropriate?
I will very heavily drop hints. That being said, if y'all want to charge forward, I will not stop you. I will actually here. This is a good point to dive into my philosophy as a GM. I am not here to guide you. My entire role here is to narrate your adventure. I will not put you on rails. If y'all go off and do some absolutely insane stuff, I will try to make it up as best I can on the fly and give you the story of what happens. That being said, I will drop hints that you're on the wrong path the best way I can in a way that makes sense within the narration. But I'm not going to beat you over the head with those hints. If y'all choose to continue going on, I will not stop you.
The mountain pass is impassable. There's been a rock slide, an avalanche. You cannot
Subtle
go
hint.
this way.
Oh, no,
door is
I will not
locked.
do that. I'll let you climb up the mountain. There just might be a level 100 dragon at the top of the mountain. It'll like if we want to use a dragon example, I'll say you see the bones of some great colossal beast, and like you recognize this as like something that is very hard to kill. Something like that. I'll try and hint you that way. I'm not gonna hold your hand. I'm not gonna railroad you at all. I believe in like absolutely choose your own adventure, pick your own path.
With that being said, to the rest of my companions here, let's not be assholes and do something completely out of left field if we do have a story arc going on. That's all I can say to that.
Oh, no, you can do it.
Depends.
There'll just be consequences of the story arc. The world will continue in your absence.
If
Depends
I see
on
a
what you're
red balloon,
doing.
I'm gonna have to chase it.
Right. It depends on what's going on, right? If we're just moseying on through town and somebody really wants to drill down into something, even though we're preparing to do something else, like just let them go. They'll figure it out.
I mean, I agree with that, right? If you want to become more immersed and do those types of things, absolutely. But I think like there is hey, me going down this path because it is immersive and because it helps drive the story along, or we think it helps drive the story along. And then there's also Zach's point. Oh, there's a red balloon off in the distance.
Yeah, we're going to have tea with the king, and the rogue, meanwhile, is planning to assassinate the fucking king.
100%. Yeah, exactly. Unless there's some, I don't know. I feel
the
like
rogue might have an undertone to it, but I think we're pretty good at not doing that.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. On this note, and I know this party isn't guilty of it, but I want to say this is a PSA. There is a difference between being a rogue and being an asshole. Okay.
There is? I had no
Yes.
fucking
Thank
idea.
you. I'm so glad somebody said it.
Really hate rogue characters because if so many people choose them and say, "Oh, I get to be an asshole to everyone now." Like, no, you have to work with these people. You may not like people, but you are still going to have to work with them. And I, as a party, encourage you, if someone is an asshole, make them pay a price for it.
I don't think we have to worry about that one, but yeah.
We don't. That's my PSA because I hate rogues.
No, I get what you're saying. There's always one dude who wants to be nothing personal, kid, the whole fucking time, and yeah.
God, we had one of those at the pop-up we did with Haley, but like that guy sitting across from you, he was an asshole.
Yeah, those are always the worst RPG players. I hate them.
There's a reason I haven't played a lot more D&D with other people because of people like that.
Oh, did you guys know the statistical odds for a group of 6 people? What is it? 1 DM and 6 of us, right? The statistical odds for us to get a group together and actually start playing is like 1 in a billion. Pretty impressive.
I wonder what the statistical odds of people willing to be GMs or DMs per group are as well.
Mhm.
I've had a lot of fall apart, so I kind of believe that.
Yeah.
What else? I was thinking of something else. I don't know. Next question.
How big of a role will memories slash taking notes be? Like, if we forget a password to the fucking secret cave, are you going to make us roll to do it? Will you remind us? How's I guess taking notes going to be? How easy will it be to recall knowledge?
I will do my best I can to help you. I'm not taking a lot of notes while I'm doing this because I'm managing a bunch of stuff while we're doing a campaign. So I'm not exactly writing down everything, unless I'm like making it up on the fly, and then I'll try and write down as much as I can. That being said, like let's say, for example, a password. You forget a password. I'll say something, or I'll say you remember it. If I don't remember what it is, I'll say you remember it and just say the door's opened. I'm not going to tell you what the password is if I don't remember it, but I'll say that you remembered it, right? Yeah.
With
That being
that being
said,
said, guys, try to take better notes this time around. I know we all kind of are not the best at it. Me especially. I just write like single words and names for people and slight descriptions, but I'm gonna try to get better at that.
Yeah, I do names, locations, key items. It's not all well. It usually is apparent, but it's not always apparent when something is important to write down.
yes, it's not. I'll try and drop hints if there's something that's going to show up later because I'm going to read ahead of all this. So I'll try and drop at least I'll tell you directly if it is something that's going to be really important later. Or in some cases I won't, and you have to remember because it might be like an investigation or something like that. Yeah.
I have here potions as a bonus. Oh, you got something else to say on this matter? Go ahead.
No, my AC kicked on.
Oh, okay. Potions as a bonus. Is a potion one action offense?
Yes. Hold on. Let's try it as a bonus action. Let's
Is a
see how that
bonus
plays.
action something you get a free action, you get 3 regular actions, and then you have a bonus action, is that correct?
Bonus action or reaction. They're the same.
Bonus action or reaction, they share the same slot.
I'm pretty sure. Let me double check that. It's been like 2 months since we played, and I kind of forget some stuff sometimes.
There's a note taker AI plugin for Discord.
Okay, no, they're different. You can do a bonus action and a reaction. Yeah, they're different. So I'll say let's try right now that using your first potion, or because you only get one bonus action, using a potion will be a bonus action.
Okay.
And if we
Potion
don't
as
like
a
it, I'll
bonus
change it
action
later.
is always the best rule, man. I firmly believe it.
What?
Yeah, I didn't know if with the 3 action economy it would make a difference to where you wouldn't want to use it as a bonus action.
With my character, I very quickly realized I want 4 actions. You can once you start figuring stuff out, you're like, damn, these are really valuable.
It's like I could do a double.
Yeah.
So like with this, like I view it as like an RP thing of like I would expect your character to have potions at the ready for the most part, right? You're not going to go digging in your pack in the middle of combat to pull out a potion. That being said, yeah, you get 1 bonus action, you drink 1 potion per turn.
Fair.
But that will be subject to change depending on how balanced it is.
Rations and water. How strict are you going to be? How much of a deal is that going to be? We're in the wilderness, we can find food, or it's kind of hard to come across food and water.
We will be strict on rations. We will only be strict on water in extreme scenarios. So if you're like in a desert, in the Arctic, or in like a really high mountain or something.
Are there a lot of chances that we're going to end up in the Arctic or a desert?
Not that I can think of off the top of my head, but I mean, y'all do you.
It's a grid style, it's a grid style world to where you could end up in a swamp though with no fresh water or something along those lines, right?
Yeah, but I mean, there's. See, here's the problem of like the balance between survival and actual enjoyment of the game, right? Like, are we going to go into the RP of you sitting there purifying water or finding some way to search for water that's going to distract us from the main objective? I'd say only where like you're in a situation where your survival is not guaranteed in a harsh environment is it going to be a problem. I'm going to say like magic exists. You know, like if you want to create water and we'll RP it that way. Otherwise, we'll just assume that you're enough of an adult to kind of figure it out for the most part.
The desert's a good example. Like that incorporates and contributes to like part of the fun. We got to figure out water versus like we got to find water every day.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's a delicate balance between survival and enjoyment, and I think for the most part, keeping track of rations will be the bigger one. That's at least nominal enough to like you have to plan this out, but not enough to where you're like, okay, now I have to plan out the next 3 weeks, and we're going to take an hour to do that.
Gotcha. Are there any home rules that you're implementing that are different than the book?
No. That being said, well, I mean, we just went over 2 of them, so yes, but y'all know them now. That being said, 2 things about Pathfinder you have to know. And we've already discussed this in person, actually several things. So I'll kind of do it for all this right here. Number 1, Pathfinder combat requires you to pay attention. Far more so than D&D. You need to at least have a plan A and B for what you're going to do on your turn. It can be a rough outline, just as long as you generally know. Especially for spellcasting. Because there are so many spells and so many different ways they interact. Like, at least have an idea or a concept of a plan, as we now call it, for what you're going to do. Other thing, so y'all experienced this when y'all played in combat. What was the biggest change from D&D that y'all noticed in combat?
You can move.
Move.
Move a lot.
Okay,
The
how
action
so?
economy
Tax
and
them off.
movement being part of the action economy, and
Yeah, movement
it
also.
seems like healing is a much bigger deal.
Yeah. The way you attack, the way things attack back.
You have the option to shield block. You have the option for many buffs and debuff spells.
It's valuable to use your smaller actions that you normally wouldn't use in D&D.
Yeah.
Okay, y'all have the general concept down. What was the other big thing? There was a term for it that got used in the video. Starts with an F. You are fish.
Fishing for crits.
Crit fishing.
Yep.
All right, describe it.
Debuffing
It's not just a nat
characters, so that
20 or
your
a nat
rolls are
1.
higher. Yeah.
Stacking
If you hit
fear.
10 over a certain thing, it's a critical success. If you hit 10 under a certain threshold, it's a critical failure. If you hit a nat 20, it brings you up one success level, which doesn't necessarily mean you do anything, but it could bring you from a regular hit to a crit. And then if you hit a nat 1, it brings you down one success level, right?
Yes.
Yep. And crits and spells actually do different things.
Yes,
they do.
Some have bonus effects that happen only upon a crit. Some have bonus effects that happen upon a failure. So it's really important, more so than D&D, to read your spell and understand how it looks, so we don't have to have Miles look up everything in the middle of the fight.
Or
yes,
most
and we'll be
likely
going
you'll
line by
miss
line
out.
on
Yeah. If you miss something where your crit, where on a crit your spell doesn't just double the damage, but it also gives you an extra effect, then you forgot, and it doesn't get applied.
Yeah, because those can be game changing. Okay, Zach, you specifically noticed this in combat. How do I play my enemies?
They're intelligent. They will go for healers. They will try to dogpile on the weak person. They will go whoever they perceive as weak and or causing the most problems.
So, as a PSA, I will say this. Every combat is a threat, right? My philosophy on this is you are fighting enemies who have survived in this world long enough because they are dangerous or because they are smart and clever enough to survive. Don't discount a group of 10 level 1 wolves because they may have a plan. They may do something very intelligent because they are intelligent animals.
Which kind of segues into my next question. What if you say you cast a spell and you're not actually able to cast that spell? Will you make spell slots fizzle? Will you make the person try to take a different action that is within their ability? Will there be penalties for saying, "Oh, I want to cast Fireball," but you don't have enough actions?
I'd say it depends heavily on the circumstance, right? If it's something you misjudged, like if you counted the wrong tile number or something, right? And it's like 5 feet further away than you thought it was, and that makes it miss. I'll say you're allowed to redo that. If it's something where there's an action preventing you from doing a spell, let's say you're silenced or something else, it'll still consume the spell slot. So like, I'm trying to think of a good example, because silence is a really bad example for that.
Well, say like you have both your hands busy because you're in the middle of a grapple, and the spell you're trying to cast says you have to have one hand free. You wouldn't be able to.
No,
do
that's
that, or
just
something
no.
along those
That's
lines.
no. I'm going to count that as human error. Like you didn't understand the exact nature of the spell. I'll give you a buy on that one. I cannot, off the top of my head, think of a situation where your spell would fizzle. But if we come to that, we'll take care of it there. Okay. Oh, on that note, so one thing I didn't mention earlier, the way I do rules, right? Like, I don't know this entire rulebook. The Pathfinder rulebook is insanely complicated. If there is a situation where we're in question on a rule, I will make a ruling right there and we'll move on. I do not want to get bogged down in reading through the entire rulebook. That being said, after that moment has passed, please look it up, someone, and then bring it up to the entire group so we're all clear on the exact wording and the written nature of the ruling. I'm interested in pace of play. I'm interested in keeping the story going. I'm not going to get y'all bogged down for a question that might take 10 plus minutes to answer in some cases. We'll change it going forward after that point and make sure everyone's clear on it.
I can dig it.
I can dig it. Is there any? Can you create like custom spells if we had something we wanted to do that we wanted to run by you, or is there any customization other than the rulebook that we're able to do?
God damn, you need to customize even within Pathfinder.
Well, no, like mine was like the example is like I had like my patron's weapon is a star knife. The star knife kind of fucking sucks, but
Well, choose a
it's
better
however
patron.
you want to do it. Like the patron makes the backstory.
I'll say for like spells, no, unless there's a really good argument why you should be able to. For unique items or like really cool stuff, like so the way a lot of this stuff in Pathfinder works is runes can be attached to weapons to improve them a lot. Like all weapons, not all weapons, but a lot of your base weapons look like garbage on the surface. They require runes to really come into play, and they will get very strong once you start adding and stacking runes on weapons. I'd say so. I as a DM prefer to follow the rule of cool. On the subject of just not just weapons and spells, but gameplay. If there's something you're describing that sounds freaking awesome and there's a possibility for you to do it, I'll absolutely allow it. On weapons and spells and like hardened like stuff that's concrete and set in stone, I'd say come up with a very compelling argument why it should be changed.
Gotcha. Last two questions. Is currency going to be copper, silver, gold?
Yes, and platinum or electrum. I don't remember
And
which one they
platinum.
call it.
And then maybe the most important question: what do you expect of us as players?
Okay, so biggest things for me: RP and paying attention. That's it. So I'd honestly like to set it up where we take about a 10-minute break per hour because I want you to be kind of zoned in or like, paying attention for those 50 minutes, and then we'll take a 10-minute break. Yeah, it's paying attention will help everyone around you. It'll help like speed up gameplay. It'll get you onto the bigger stuff. On that subject, for the campaign, do we want to be a very combat focused campaign, or do we want it to be a very narrative campaign?
I'm pretty
I'm asking you.
50-50. Yeah, I'm 50-50.
I like narrative more personally.
I do like narrative more, but I do like combat.
I like combat if it's
serving a purpose.
Well, serving a purpose, and like I like mechanics as well. I think that makes combat more immersive in general. I'm not saying you have to like create mechanics for every fight, kind of a thing, but I do like combat to serve a purpose. But I like narrative stuff much more. I think that's the bigger draw here because I could go roll dice and play some kind of like combat game if I wanted to. That's the way I look at it.
Okay. How about this? So there will be a lot of random encounters here. Like this premise of this campaign is you're going to settle an unsettled area, right? So it's wildlands. There's a lot of wild creatures. There's bandits. There's all kinds of crazy stuff going on. And those are two very tame examples of what you're going to encounter. I will try and find a way, not every time, but to work in some sort of hook with this. So like, let's say you encounter a bandit party. You decide to follow them back to their camp and get them and turn them into soldiers for your kingdom. Or, you discover that this bandit party has found something of major value and have been raiding, this caravan for that reason. I'll try and work in some form of narrative hook for those as often as I can.
Cool.
I will not throw unnecessary combat your way, but there will be random encounters
And that's
occasionally.
fine.
Because I think
Yeah,
Pathfinder
Yeah, I'm
especially
fine
is
with a
built.
good mix of stuff.
Yeah,
But it's
Pathfinder
like
is
sometimes
built
when
for
you get into
campaign
like
or combat, right?
Yes.
sometimes
Well,
when you get
yeah,
into like
it's
3
also
or
built
4
for RP.
combats in a row.
Yeah, I'll do my best to try and space them out. I'm not. Yeah, if we want to do a really heavily combat-based session, I'll absolutely make that happen. If you want to do a heavy narrative session, I'll make that happen. That being said, I'm not going to like suspend major story points just for us to focus on one thing or the other.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Final Fantasy X Thunder Road is not fun.
Is that the stupid one with the car?
It's where you're just running around getting zapped by electricity and attacked every 20 steps. It's just not.
Did you ever actually get the 200 lightning dodges?
No. I got maybe 15.
I did. I fucking hate myself. I did it.
With that is my list of questions. Does anybody else have questions they would like to pose?
I've got a couple.
How so your character's race, how is that going to play into the world around us, especially if you choose something that's like an orc or something that's off race, I guess you could say, from the normal parts of this world.
Okay, well, I don't want to play a racist asshole as a DM.
No, but you
there
know what I'm
will-
saying.
No, I know. I was making a joke. There will certainly be prejudices for races in here. The door's not going to be slammed in your face, but some characters might be much harder to win over to your side.
Okay. Good.
All right. So, any other questions? All right. Well, I'm more than.
Yeah, I had another question. You answered the first one actually. My second question is around the kingdoms. The first part of that is like when it comes to the kingdom mechanics in this campaign, is it like, are we working together to make a kingdom as a party, or do we all have the option to do our individual sort of kingdoms?
I will say no. You do not have the option to do individual kingdoms because that would be a nightmare to organize.
Yeah.
But your kingdom will eventually expand to have various holds and stuff that you can claim for your own, that you'll have more involvement with. And then, so the way, we're using a lot of third-party stuff for this in my current campaign. I'm going to be bringing almost all that in here because it's really good content. Because Kingmaker is a phenomenal module, but it's from 1E, was updated to 2E at the very beginning, and they have not touched it since. So there's a lot of stuff that needs some polish. There are a lot of roles within the kingdom, though, right? Like, there's not just the king, there's the spy master, there's the financial manager, there's the city planner. Like, there's a lot of roles for you to fulfill within the kingdom.
Miles, have you played Ni no Kuni?
I have not.
This Kingmaker sounds a lot like that game. You start out, you build a party, you discover a great evil, you build a kingdom, you build out the kingdom to take over the great evil.
This is like the first time I played D&D was with my uncle, and there was all of these types of mechanics where it was like, hey, you have to get a group of people, or you have to curry favor, or you have to raise soldiers, those kinds of things. So like
There
this,
will be a lot of that.
yeah,
Okay.
and this is like I feel like this is what 2E was for Dungeons and Dragons, 3E, I think, if I'm not mistaken, one of those two editions. Yeah. And this harkens back to like what a lot of like old heads think of as the golden age of TTRPG, where it was still like nerdy enough. But yeah, I don't know. Like I just think like this is how I remember TTRPGs being growing up with my uncle anyway.
Oh, sorry, that being said too, so like there might be roles y'all don't want to fulfill, like y'all don't want to do the bureaucracy of a kingdom every day. There'll be a ton of companions you can get throughout this campaign that'll help you with a lot of this stuff of managing your kingdom. And then, so Mike, you mentioned currying favor. Like, not only will there be kingdom level, social dynamics, there will be individual companion social dynamics too. And you'll unlock's the wrong word, but like I'm going to say unlock stuff with those companions in ways they interact with you more by interacting with them.
Got it.
To add to that, or to
So-
kind of ask a
So you're
question
saying I
about
can
that.
have lackeys?
Yes, you can. I probably have a lot of lackeys.
Hell yeah. Okay, and then
there's
sorry, on the kingdom thing, how intertwined is going to be the kingdom function of the campaign with the main story arc? Like, is there a situation where we might be diving too deep into building our kingdom and have to take a step back, or do they go hand in hand?
So the way that we do this with my current campaign is every month we do a kingdom turn where we plan out basically what's going to happen in the kingdom the entire month. So like new buildings, new policies, stuff like that. And then we continue on with the rest of the RPG. So like we basically devote like a really focused small period, no, not exactly small, but purely focused period to the kingdom, and the rest of it is the overall narrative. And a lot of the narrative is the kingdom. So like you'll have different stuff that affects you. You'll have outside forces, doing. I'm trying not to give any spoilers here, but like
you can have weather
story is
events
the
or
kingdom. Well, no, not just weather events. You'll have like the overarching narrative is centering around your kingdom. There will be a lot of narrative stuff that involves you leaving the kingdom and dealing with it, and staying in the kingdom and dealing with it. There's a lot of different story points. Like the kingdom is the center of the story.
It's going to create some pretty badass RP. I'm actually stoked for that.
Yeah. Well, I guess my next question is to the group. Do we want to, like, as we were creating our characters today, do we want to start defining roles, or should we just kind of just all create our own character and see what happens?
Create your character. There'll be enough, as you said, lackeys that'll fulfill any roles that you're lacking in. And then if y'all overlap, you can absolutely apply your skills to a different area within the same realm.
And say you don't like your character and you need to make a new one, then
yeah, absolutely. So I know this is your first time with Pathfinder. I know this is your first time with a major campaign in Pathfinder. If you don't like your character, I absolutely am 100% okay with you switching certain aspects of it or switching your character out entirely. We'll either have them right off into the sunset or kill them. We'll decide what narrative beat the story needs. But I'm absolutely okay with you switching pretty much everything about your character. Now, that being said, don't be a wizard and come to me every session saying I want to switch up my entire spell list, because that's taking advantage of my kindness.
Will you allow us to roll secondary characters to perhaps take care of some of the things in the kingdom if we don't want the lackeys to take care of it? Not necessarily combat-inspired characters, but just RP characters?
I'm going to say no, because a big part of this story is you trying to get all these people to work with you and for you.
Okay.
That being said, like, let's say you drive off the only person who's available to be a court mage. I'll find some way to bring another one in.
Question on like the world, I guess, with what, and I know you said you didn't know exactly where we'd be starting off, but like what are we as characters going to have any understanding of like the geopolitical leanings of the area we're going to? Okay, cool.
Maybe not for certain races and backgrounds. You might not know anything about it, but your companions will at least know a little bit about it.
Perhaps not the orc that rolled out of the woods.
I didn't want to say him specifically, but yes, if y'all are a bunch of off the wall races, we're gonna have to come up with a good way for y'all to know some of this, because a lot of it is critical to understanding the stuff. Like, this is a big overarching narrative political campaign. There's a lot going on.
I'm going to be a human from whatever area we're in, so that shouldn't be too difficult.
I'm sticking with mine.
Don't worry, I'll explain to you, orc. Zug.
Are you going to be
my orc's not stupid.
Are you like orc or
it's
half
an orc?
It's an orc.
Nice. What's your class?
A Wellspring Sorcerer.
Okay.
Which I'd
Okay,
say-
on that note, sorry, go ahead, Mike.
No, go for it.
Are we ready to begin creating characters?
I've already created mine.